Mic check, mic check. This is your boy Naga Genie in the building, coming out, Y'all know how I do, man. I don't want to make this a presentation, I don't got no slide. I'm on my phone. I just want to talk about the, life itself, and the life, and the afterlife a little bit, you know. Just, I'm not, going, I'm just freestyling basically, so. This is all me giving up my opinion. Just me talking my shit, cause I be I be thinking, right, even though I need to stop. But look, so let me get straight into it, right? So when it comes to the concept of the afterlife, right, the most known you know uh culture that talk about it, right? Or should I say that not you're right, the most popular culture that talk about it, is the Egyptian culture, right? You got you know they even got a book about it, called the Book of the Dead, you know and so forth, right? So I want to talk about you know uh uh existence itself, is not have many layers to it, right? So the base, you know you know the foundation, of existence itself, have you know basically three layers to it, you know that have their own thing going on, you know independently, from the rest of the layers, right? From the furthest, right? So a lot of time, a lot of culture, they speak, well, I'm not gonna say a lot of culture. I'm just gonna say, society, modern society, kind of, they put all that, all these principles, into one basket, you know, even though that's what it is, on a grand scheme, you know, but on a micro level, that's what they do, and you know all right, so let me not run my mouth. Let me just talk about what I want to talk about, right? So the way I understand existence to be, like I said, the foundation, got three layers to it, right? So we got the for example, right? I'm gonna say, for example, you got the past, the present, and the future. Let's say each one of them is a layer of reality, right? The past is its own layer of reality, right? The present is its own layer of reality, right? Then you got the future, right? That's its own layer of reality, right? So the thing is, right, these three layers of reality, they intermingle with each other, right? So some people get trapped, right? Some people get trapped, in the past. Some people get trapped, in the present. Some people get trapped, in the future. Then you have people, that can only go back and forth, in between only two, right? Then you also have people, right, that can travel, right, freely, right, between these three layers, right, and they can bring message, right, and what's going on. These people are considered to be like messengers, right, like messengers, because they are able, to travel, freely. They're not uh anchored, you know, to a singular, right, a layer of reality, right? They are free, right? They are broke free, to travel in between these three layers of reality and bring messages, right? Another way to look at it, some might say, what we call, life, what we call reality. Some might say, what we call, the dream world, right? And some might say, what you call, the dead, right? The the right, the ancestral realm, right? And some people consider it to be the same. Some people consider the astral realm and the ancestral realm to be the same. And some people, consider them to be, two separate things, right? And I'm one of those people, that consider, the astral realms, right, and the ancestral realms, right, to be two separate things, right? Just like, this reality, right? I'm looking at it, like its own separate thing, even though it's intermingled, right, into these two different realities, but it's its own thing, right? So now, right, going back, into, life, in the afterlife, right? So why we don't talk about, prior to life, right? If we want to talk about, life in the afterlife, right? Why don't we talk about prior to life? Like, right? I know that, like, that's a big conversation, and in science, like what happened before life, what trigger life, what, is life always been, right? So if there is such thing as after, right, then there gotta be something before, right? This is a concept, right? This is a foundational concept, right? If there is before, I mean, if there is after, there gotta be before, right? There gotta be before if there is after. So my personal opinion, on you know, afterlife, you know, no. All right, so I'm just gonna say, because at the end of the day, is my opinions, So I think, prior to life, we were, well, I'm like I said, since it's about me, so I think prior to life, I was, right, I was, observing, what's going on, you know, in life. I was observing, what's going on in life. I was the observer, right? Prior to life, I was the observer, right? What people, consider to be the creator, right? That's how I'm looking at it, right? Now, right? Life, right, is me, right? Uh, how do I look at it? Is me, basically, uh, right, experience it. Let's say let's go. I'm gonna go with the word, that's being used around. Experience it. Now it's me as the creator experience, the life itself. So prior to life, so it's me observing life, right? Some people might say, all right, so how can, if it was prior, how can you observing it? No, it would. I mean, I'm talking about prior to the experience, because right now I'm in a body. I'm having an experience. That's what I'm saying. I'm gonna go with, the word that's being around, because we call life an experience, right? I could go with another word, saying, it's a game or it's a dream, but I'm going, with the way I want to go with it, right? I'm painting a picture, my own picture, right? So, like I said, right? So the experience is prior to the experience, is not prior, to the existence, because existence, is the umbrella that encompasses everything, you know. So existence, right? Whole life and whole what happened after, right? Life is not after existence because there is no after existence, right? That's the concept. The concept is existence is the all be all, right? Existence is the all be all, right? Is there is no before or there is no after. So the logic was if there is an after, there gotta be a before, right? And the concept is around life. The concept is not around existence, right? People try. I think some people, might be confused, you know, between existence and life itself, right? These are two different things because these other existence that people don't know is life there. If there is life there, so life and existence is not, uh, uh, is not synonym, right? It's not synonymous, right? Let me get some water right quick. So, like I was saying, the concept, the logic, right? If there is a, if there is a after, there gotta be a before, right? Because everybody always talk about, everybody always think they know what happened, they know, the dead end of life, right? People always, talk about like, they know, where life, uh, uh, sub, not submerge, right? Submerge, right? That's the thing. They're trying to find out, how it emerged, how life emerged, right, on Earth, right? Because they assume that they know, how life submerged, right? I don't even know if I'm using the right words, but I know, I know what the fuck I'm saying. I'm probably not using the right word, but I know what the fuck I'm saying. So basically, what I'm saying, they think they know how life ends, so therefore they're trying to find out how life started, right? That's the thing. That's the whole thing. That's the left and the right. That's the heaven and hell. That's the whole donkey and the carrot. That's the whole Big Bang theory. That's what science is about, right? They're trying to find out how life started. If they find out how life started, then therefore they can start their own shit. You know, they can just go ahead and start their own shit and just simulate that and just simulate it, right? Or it could just be a creation too. Because all they have right now is simulation, right? The closest thing they can get to right now, the closest thing science can get to is simulation, right? They can't get to a creation. You know what I'm talking about? So they think that if they could find out you know how life was created, then they can create their own shit. They don't have to worry about a simulator, right? So that's so this is the concept. This is what I'm speaking on when I'm giving my opinion. My opinion, what created life itself is existence. Existence is what created life itself, right? Or is where life emerges from, right? Life emerges from existence itself. You know what I'm talking about, right? Some people call it God. Science call it dark matter or uh uh what other name? They call it galaxy, right? They got other name, right? science got for it, right? But what I'm talking about existence itself. You know, the very being of existing, right? The very being of existing. There is many things that exist, but they're not alive. They're not alive, right? So we have to understand, what it means to be alive, right? Unless, a lot of people, haven't, reflect on what it means to be alive, unless people don't take it, that, you know, uh, uh, they don't think it's that much of a big, deal, right? So going back to I'm talking about, right? Going back, to my opinion, right? So again, you know, there is no after or before existence, right? No, not science, not religion, not spirituality, not nothing, right? Can get beyond existence, right? Can't nothing get beyond that, right? So let's clear that up. Let's clear all of that up, right? Can't nothing get beyond that, the very being of existing, right? Unless somebody gonna say, all right, what about non-existence? What about non-existent, right? All right, name something that's non-existent. You can't think about it. You can think of it, right? Because if you could think about it, therefore it exists. If you could think about it, therefore it exists, right? So it's kind of crazy, to say non-existence, is beyond existence, right? So you can't think of nothing, right, that beyond existence, right? Even the term non-existence. No, I mean even the term non-existent, right, or non-existence, right? Even though you can think of nothing that's non-existence, right? That's still existing. That is still a part of the existing concept. Is therefore you can't find nothing that non-existence. That's why the umbrella for existence, I mean for existing itself encompasses all, even non-existence, right? The very being of existing encompasses, supersede, supersede non-existing, non-existence, right? So the thing, let me say it another way, right? The things that's known supersede the things that's unknown. What are you saying? Again, the things that known, right? Or the very word itself, known, supersede unknown, right? Because when you're saying unknown, you're saying one knows, right? So even the things that you don't know, you know that you don't know it, right? So therefore, that itself supersedes what you don't know. How is that possible? Because you can go and find out. Because you can go and find out, right? Everything comes from within, right? If you don't know something, Google it. It's that simple. Everything comes from within. If you don't know something, if you can't find it from within, if you can't find it, Google that shit. You know what I'm talking about? Right? So going back to what I was talking about again, right? Because it's not about, I'm not, trying to talk about, existence, and non-existence. I'm not trying to talk about known and known, right? I'm trying to talk about life and afterlife, right? I'm giving up my opinion and how people, you know, uh, uh, talk about it and how they look about it, I mean, how people look at it and how they talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's philosophers, whether it's government, whether it's religious people, the church, and a whole bunch of so-called awakened people, right? Spiritualists, right? So again, so going back, right? If there is a if there is a after, there gotta be a before, right? So afterlife, right, is going back to being existing, right? Afterlife is going back to being existing, right? That's what it is. A lot of people talk about, oh man, I don't know, I don't know what's gonna happen, man. Nobody know, nobody know, cause nobody never did, nobody never been there. Yes, you do. Yes, the fuck you do. Cause you was already in existence before you came alive, right? Before you came alive, you was already in existence, right? You had a spirit, right? You had a soul, right? So if you have a spirit, you have a soul, that means that your spirit and your soul was already in existence before your body was created. Because that's the word, right? But I must say before your body was born, right? Before your body was birthed, right? That means your spirit and your soul was already in existence, right? So don't tell me you don't know what's gonna happen after life. Cause the body and the soul manifested, in the flesh, right? The spirit and the soul manifested, themselves in the flesh, right? Adam and Eve, the mind and the body, right, is the spirit and the soul. They're manifested in the flesh. The Bible told you that, right? The Bible told you that. What other religion told you that, right? Spirituality tell you that, right? But y'all not practicing it. Y'all not looking at it. Cause if y'all was looking at it, ain't no way y'all would have been trapped in the spirit or in the soul or in the flesh, right? You will be able, to feel. You'll be able to live freely, right? You wouldn't get caught up in your emotion. You wouldn't get caught up in your ego, right? You wouldn't get trapped in the mind, right? You wouldn't get caught up in a loop, right? So when it comes to, the chicken and the egg, which one is first? Is the wrong. This is the wrong thing. We know the only thing, we know the only conversation we should have is about the physical. We shouldn't have no conversation beyond the physical. We shouldn't have we shouldn't have no type of conversation, right? Whatsoever, right? I mean, no debate. We shouldn't have no debate, whatsoever, beyond, beyond, shit like a television, beyond a motherfucking telephone, beyond such shit like food, beyond shit like animals, right? Beyond shit like, we should never have, metaphysical argument whatsoever. We should ever have a metaphysical debate, a metaphysical disagreement. And I'm glad, I'm starting to see it that way, because when I look at it for real, all the people, all the elders, everybody that really, on a really specialize, uh, uh, in the metaphysical, uh, uh, arena, should I say, right? They don't really, want to debate none of that shit. You know what I'm saying? They don't really want to debate. You know what I'm saying? All that debate, it be about like, you know, material shit. You feel me? All the debate be about material shit, bro. Right? So you can't debate the metaphysical shit. You can't debate the spiritual shit. This is why a lot of time people want it. Old people come when it gonna say about it is this shit is pseudo, right? This shit is pseudo. This shit is fake. Man, prove that shit, right? That's all they're gonna say. Cause what else can they say about it, right? So again, it's not a debate when it comes to what happened after life. It's not a debate to, what happened before life. If y'all want to have debate, keep it on a surface level, and y'all keep that, uh, 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 keep it on, keep it low, keep that low vibration, segregated, you know don't try to integrate that low vibrations into what other people got going on. You know what I'm talking about? Keep that shit segregated. You feel me? Because that shit is not even balanced, right? That low vibration is not even harmonized, right? So it's like a negative form of low vibration. Because a lot of time when people talk about low vibration, they act like the vibration in itself is all bad. You know what I'm saying? No, the vibration in itself is not bad. Low vibration is not bad. Sometimes you need to lower your tone. Sometimes you need to lower your temperature. Sometimes you need to lower your temper. Sometimes you need to lower your heart rate. Sometimes you need to lower your thinking. You know what I'm saying? Because you probably be thinking too much. So, you know, low, the low, the low vibrational state, is not all bad, right? It's bad when it's not harmonized. You feel me? So all that low vibration, all that low, energy, y'all got going on is not even harmonized, right? Go master that shit first, right? How about y'all find a way to master that shit? Once y'all master that shit, you feel me? Then y'all could find a way to integrate that shit, into other people, into what other people got going on. So feel me? From now on, this is how I'm moving. You feel me? I'm I'm already thinking about getting more metaphysical. You know, cause I'm already being you know I'm already being there. You feel me? I'm already being there. I'm just not looking at it that way. You feel me? I'm just not looking at it that way and embody it, and basically, and purposely, coming from that angles. You know what I'm saying? So I need to do that more, right? But to not get off topic, right? So going back, to life and the afterlife, right? So you know uh it's all a distraction, right? It's all a distraction, the talking about life, or about afterlife, or you gotta be good in life, or because the afterlife ain't gonna do be good for you, or this and that. Listen, if you gotta be good, you gotta be good. It's not because of the afterlife. If you gotta be bad, you gotta be bad. If you wanna do bad, you do bad, not because of the afterlife or before the afterlife. If you wanna do good, not because of the afterlife or because of the afterlife or because of anything, right? You gotta start looking at life for what it is, for its own thing, for its own thing, right? Stop treating life, right, based on what you think of other things. I mean, based on what you think of other reality, right? Stop looking at life because of what you think of the past. Stop looking at life because of what you think of the future, right? Stop looking at life because of what you think of, whatever, but looking at life for exactly what it is. Its own thing. It's its own thing, right? Again, I'm not saying life is not connected, to any other reality. That's not what I'm saying, right? But I'm saying life is its own thing, right? How do you know is life in this other reality, right? How do you know that, right? You don't know if you don't know. You're gonna be like, oh yeah, you don't know what I know. You don't know what I know. Nigga, I did. Nigga, I that. No, we all know. We all know what everybody know. We is the only thing we're not doing. We're not moving like everybody moving. We're not doing things the way everybody is doing things. We're not saying things the way everybody is saying things. But we all saying the same shit. We all doing the same shit. We all eating shit, right? And sleep, right? And laugh and cry, right? And we all make love, right? We all have sex, right? So we all do the same shit. We all do, the only thing we do is that we do this, we don't do it the way other people do it. We don't say it the way other people say it. This is the reason why you can't, this is the reason why you can't, this is the reason why we see, the gap, that we see, amongst, the young generation, and the present generation, right? This is why we see a gap, because there is a need for that gap, and people wanna talk about time and space, and we don't see that we're creating that, right? We don't see that we're creating that time and space, right? You don't see that you're creating that gap. You don't want that mate. You don't reason why your children is not that close to you, right? You the reason why your children rather be around their homeboys instead of being home, right? You the reason why your daughter rather be around her homegirls, right? Instead of being around her pops, around her brothers, around her mom, right? You the reason. You the reason why your cousin wanna go to the military. You the reason why your uncle wanna go to the military, right? Instead of working for the family, right? We are the reason. We are the one creating these gaps. And we want to go around and point fingers at everybody and say, is this, is that, is the system, is this, is that. Well, why we ain't creating our own system, right? Why we focus on, if we know it's the system, why we focus on the system? Why we focus on the system so bad, right? It's because we're not looking at life for what it is. We're not looking at how life is lifing, right? We're too busy looking at the past. We're too busy focusing on the future. And life is just lifing right in front of our eyes. Remember, I told y'all that. I've been telling y'all, whatever you do, respect life, right? Or you're going to have to see the aftermath, right? And it's going to be one of those my moment, right? It's going to be one of those my moment for you. You're going to be in the now for real, right? You're going to be in the now for real. Y'all ain't got to hear me, right? But y'all going to feel me. You know what I'm talking about? You ain't gotta hear me, but you're gonna feel me, right? Where you need to be at, right? Don't worry about me. You need to be in your feelings. Why you not in your feelings right now? Why you not exploring your emotion? Cause you know you're gonna get up. You're gonna get caught up in there, right? You know you're gonna get caught up in your emotion. This is why you're not trying to explore your emotion. This is why you're not trying to explore your feelings, because you know you're gonna get caught up in your feelings, right? This is why you're not trying to explore the dream work, because you know you're gonna get caught up, right? Right now you're not trying to explore nothing. You're just trying to distract yourself from everything as possible. My bad. I had to get some water right quick. You feel me? My thing is that, a lot of y'all, you know, is in the afterlife, right? A lot of y'all is in the afterlife, right? In a lot of y'all, is just existing, right? A lot of y'all is just existing. Y'all not living. Y'all just existing. And a lot of y'all, is just, you know, is basically living in the afterlife. Now, if don't ask me which one is better. Don't ask me, oh, is it better? So, isn't it better to be, existing, or isn't it better to be in living in the afterlife, or isn't it? Don't ask me which one is better, right? Because if you ask me, I think it's better to just be, living, right? To just live, right? Be alive, right? Be alive, right? Be alive, bring alive, right? Contribute to life, right? Keep life going, right? Be helpful to life, respect life, build a relationship with life, right? And maybe you know what's going on in life, right? If you ask me, that's where I'm at with it, right? I don't want to talk about the afterlife. You know what I'm talking about? I want to talk about life. So yeah, life is metaphysical. You know what I'm talking about? Life is metaphysical. You know, life is not just physical, right? It's metaphysical. You know what I'm talking about? It's metaphysical. You know, uh physical. Physical is is basically you living in the afterlife. If you only think about physical things, you are you basically living in the afterlife, right? In the afterlife, you know, you're not alive, but you're in the afterlife, right? Because you're chasing afterlife. All you know what I'm talking about? So this is what's going on, man. A lot of y'all, is really chasing after life. Y'all not really, you know, alive. Because being alive, is to be metaphysical. You know, to be alive is to be metaphysical. You know, and if you're not metaphysical, you know, you are basically, you're only physical. And if you're only physical, you're living in the afterlife. You know, that means you're chasing afterlife, right? You just trying to hold on. How some people say, man, I'm just trying to hold on, man. You know, shit, it's crazy out here, man. I got a lot going on. I got a lot on my plate, man. I'm just trying to hold on. You know, that's what a lot of y'all is doing. Y'all trying to hold on. Y'all not really, a member, right? Remember, y'all not really a member, you know, of this organization. You're not really a member, of this, family, right? You're not really a member, of this, arena, you know. Y'all just trying to hold on. Y'all just trying to ride the wave, for real. You know what I'm talking about? That's what the wave is about. Y'all trying to ride the wave. Y'all trying to ride the goat. You know what I'm talking about? What this life is about. You heard me? What this life is about, huh? Is it just about holding on? You know, is it all about complaining, right? Is it all about the little things in life? You know how be, how the rich say life is all about the finer things in life, you know. But you know, and for this context, I'm saying, is it all about the little things in life, or is it not, right? Is it or is it not all about is it or is it not all about the little things in life? What is life is about, right? Is it why Jesus was talking to y'all the way he was talking to y'all, right? When he was talking to y'all like dogs, right? Shit. I mean, things is starting to coming to, it's starting to come together. You feel me? Cause y'all don't really want to be here for real. You know, I'm starting to get it. Y'all don't really want to be alive. Y'all just trying to hold on to life. You know what I'm talking about? Y'all don't really want to do what it takes to be alive. Y'all don't really want to do what it takes to be a member. Y'all don't want to carry the policy. Y'all don't want to carry the principle. Y'all don't want to represent this principle, right? Y'all don't want to embody this principle. Y'all playing games. This is why, y'all just be, out of here. Y'all just be, ooh, whistle, Soon as the whistle, is blown, y'all got ejected, right? So is blown, y'all got ejected out of there, right? Out of there. Reboot him. Hey, reboot him. And what this nigga be saying, when they get it mad, when they get it mad, they don't want him to talk. He be like, man, I'm about to boot your ass. Hey, that's what life is. That's how life is. That's what life is doing to y'all, to a lot of y'all. Hey, that's how you don't want to get on, you just, you just gonna hold on. Yeah, reboot it, reboot it. I'm gonna reboot your ass. You know what I'm talking about? Send him to the back of the line. You know what I'm talking about? Word. Find out, find out, he ain't really, you know, he wasn't paying attention, when he was in the line, find out, he just, he just kept his way to the line, man. He wasn't paying attention, he ain't like nothing. Man, send his ass right back to the end of the line. He gonna learn, right? He gonna learn. And the crazy and the thing is, you know, you know, it you got an infinite amount of time to do it, right? So you take your time, right? You can take your time, right? Even if it take you infinity, right? Your ass gonna learn, right? Even if it take you infinity, your ass gonna learn. Your ass gonna learn that respect, gang, right? Your ass gonna learn that respect. You gotta respect life, man. Whatever you do, or you're gonna be chasing it, or you're gonna be chasing after it all your life. You know what I'm talking about? Like a donkey chasing, like the donkey chasing the carrot all its life. That donkey been chasing the carrot all its life, and that's gonna be you, right? That's gonna be you chasing after life, right? You're gonna have so many deja vu. Oh man, oh man, I just had a deja vu, man. I've been here before. Yeah, I done. Yeah, you gonna keep chasing that bitch. Yeah, your ass been here before. What you thought? What you thought? Yeah, your ass been here before. What you thought? What you thought? That don't mean shit. That don't mean shit, nigga. You still not a member. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, you been here before, right? You know how many people, you know how many, other, you know how many other soul, you know how many other spirit being here before? Where you at? That don't mean nothing. They ain't, none of them ain't, is a member. You know what I'm saying? Just like you. You know what I'm saying? None of y'all is a member. You know what I'm talking about? Y'all could come in and in and out and visit and shit like that. But y'all know y'all not a member. Y'all know y'all not welcome to the sacred part, right? Y'all know y'all not, sacred to the most, important, part of the, this thing, right? To the most intricate. Y'all know y'all can only imagine it, right? Y'all know the only thing y'all could do is simulate that, right? Y'all could never experience, that, that level, right? Because y'all not a member. You're not a member. It's certain thing that's reserved only for members. It's certain thing that's for members only. You can see that on YouTube, right? You can see that on YouTube. You can see that on Patreon, right? You can go on Patreon and see that, right? It's certain things that's reserved for members only. It's on members only. If you're not a member, you cannot see what's going on. You cannot be a part of what's going on, right? That's what life is telling you right now. That's what life is telling you right now, right? You ain't gotta pay attention, right? You ain't gotta pay attention, right? But you gonna pay some rent money, nigga. You gonna pay some bills, right? And you gonna work your ass off, right? You gonna slave your ass to do that, right? You ain't gonna, You ain't gonna experience, man, right? You ain't going to experience, you ain't, not only you ain't going, you ain't going to experience all the good shit, right? Or you ain't going to experience all the high level shit. Not only you ain't going to experience, the best part of life, right? Not only you going to get the worst, the end of the state, the worst of it, right? But you going, you going, you know, you're not gonna be able to enjoy it, right? You're not gonna be able to enjoy it at all. This is why a lot of y'all is miserable, right? Even though your bills paid, right? Even though your bills paid, even though you got a car, right? You driving, a $50,000 car, a $30,000 car, right? A $60,000, $70,000 car, right? You got a big house, right? You got a job and all that, but you're still miserable, right? But you're still miserable, right? And you're talking about this is what a high value, right? This is what a high value man supposed to look like. This is what a high value woman supposed to look like. Man, if you don't get on my face with that shit, this is life talking to you right now. Life is disproving y'all niggas every time, right? Life is disproving y'all niggas every time. It's proving all of y'all every time, right? So this is who y'all have the real beef with, right? Y'all ain't got no beef with me, right? Y'all really beefing with life, right? Y'all really beefing with life, right? Cause right now is somebody, with $100,000 in his bank account right now somewhere on his bitch, having a good time, right? And you right and you here on the internet being miserable. And this is exactly what you want. You want that $100,000 on your account, and you want to be where that man is at on the beach right now laughing, but you're on the internet, right? So you're really beefing with life. You ain't beefing with me. You ain't beefing with the system neither, right? You ain't beefing with the system neither. You're beefing with yourself. You're beefing with life, right? You mad at yourself, right? Because you beefing with life. That's what's going on, right? So y'all niggas not humble enough to respect life. This is why things is not working out for y'all, right? This is why y'all things is not working out for y'all. Y'all wanna open y'all dirty mouth and and say anything to anybody, right? Just cause it's the internet, right? Just cause it's the internet, y'all wanna open your mouth and say anything to anybody, right? That's why things is not working out for y'all, right? Y'all not humble enough to respect life. This is another soul you're talking to. You don't even talk to AI like that. Because AI won't even talk to you back, right? And if AI talk to you back, AI gonna correct you every time, right? So you don't even talk to AI like that. And here you are talking to another spirit. Here you are talking to another soul, right? And you feel the need to disrespect them, right? This is why you're so miserable. This is why you feel with so much envy. This is why you feel with so much jealousy, right? And this is why you just trying to hold on to life, right? How much can you hold, how long can you hold? How long can you hold on to life? For how long can you hold on to life, right? How much longer you have, right? How much longer you have? Man, I wish I was on my laptop, right? I would have played a video, right? Matter of fact, I'm finna post it, right? Probably today or tomorrow. It's a short. I'm finna post it. Going to do a couple thousand, right? You can't hold on to something. You can't hold on to nothing for too long, right? You can't hold on to nothing for too long. It's gonna break you. It's gonna break you. You can't hold on to nothing for too long. It's gonna break you. It's gonna break you. Moving water, right? Show you that you can't hold on moving water for too long, right? What's gonna happen is that that water gonna build a lot of pressure, right? It's gonna keep building pressure. It's gonna keep building pressure, and eventually it's gonna break that. And it is saying that's how it is for you. You trying to hold another, something else hostage. I don't give a fuck if it was a lighter. I don't give a fuck if it was a bottle of water. I don't give a fuck if it was whatever you think it was. That thing exists, existing, and you can't hold on to that thing for too long. Eventually, that thing will break you. It will break you. You feel me? That's what's gonna happen to a lot of y'all niggas, right? A lot of y'all niggas finna get ejected from the game, all right? Out of the game, right? That's what y'all call it, right? Y'all say, hey, man, this ain't nothing but a game, right? Well, game have rules, right? Game have rules and regulation. Hmm. You ain't know that? You think just cause it's a game, right? You think you could just come in and play however you want, right? Well, that's why your ass finna get ejected, right? That's why your ass finna get ejected. You think just because it's a movie, there is no rules and regulation. That's why your ass but to finna get thrown off the set, right? Your ass finna get thrown off the set, right? In real time, you finna get thrown off the set, right? And get replaced. Somebody else finna play your role, right? Cause you think there is no rules and regulation, or it's just a movie. I'm finna act a fool. I'm gonna do whatever and play however I wanna play in this movie. All right, then. Your ass finna get ejected. That's what's gonna happen. You're doing it to yourself, right? You're doing it to yourself. That ain't what you told yourself when you was coming in this bitch, right? When you was coming in this bitch, you told yourself, man, I'm finna get this job. You feel me? I'm finna get my shit together. I'm finna get this job. I'm finna save my money. I'm finna do this. I'm finna do that. I'm finna open my own business. I'm finna do that. I'm finna open an LLC. I'm finna fill this paperwork. I'm finna go and uh 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 get my status corrected. I'm finna do this. I'm finna do that. Right? And the minute, shit starting to play it out, you said, man, fuck all that, right? You said, man, fuck all that shit, man. Right? You said, man, fuck all that. I ain't got time for all that, man. I'm gonna do what I wanna do, right? Well, alright, do what you wanna do, nigga, right? Do what you wanna do. Let's see how that's gonna get you. Let's see how far that's gonna get you. Let's see how far that's gonna get you. And I ain't talking about you, nigga. I'm talking about me, right? I don't know you. You feel me? I don't know what you got going on, but I know what I got going on. I'm talking to me, right? This is a conversation between me, myself and I, right? And life is the judge, right? And life is a witness, right? You know how people say, oh man, this is, in front of God, such and such, this and that. Man, this is life, right? This is life. This is life we're talking about, right? Everybody don't recognize or agree, right? That's one thing, people don't highlight, right? Everybody don't agree when it comes to God, right? When it comes to the devil, but everybody agree when it comes to life. You know what I'm talking about, right? You know what I'm talking about? Everybody agree when it comes to life. You feel me? It's not life is not a debate. You know, it, y'all could debate, where it come from, how it started, right? Assuming y'all know, how it's gonna end, right? But at the end of the day, right? Everybody recognize it, right? And everybody, have to, obey it, right? Everybody have to kneel down in front of life. I don't care who you are, right? Soon as that that shit get over your head, nigga, you get sick quick, right? You get sick quick, right? A quick nigga cold, nigga. Now you can't even breathe, nigga. Now you over here like get paranoid, thinking you about to die. Yeah, humble yourself, nigga, cause it can't really happen. In GTA, right? It can't really happen in GTA. But this is life talking to y'all, right? This is life talking to me, myself, and I, right? So y'all not taking that shit serious, man. You know what I'm saying? Y'all not taking that shit serious. Y'all not, y'all not, you're not using, the you're not using, your ability, your capacity, to get to where y'all need to get in life, right? Because y'all don't, not willing to be a member, right? You're not willing to, to master the discipline, you know, and carry, those principles, right? Right? In order to, to live and enjoy life, right? You know, and and get further, right? Everybody, willing to get, willing to settle, for the end of the state, you know, because everybody, is willing to settle for the, for the end of the state, because nobody is willing, right, to embody the discipline and carry the principle it takes to keep going, right? That's what it is, right? And they stay trying to trap, trying to trap people down here with them. You know what I'm talking about, right? They stay trying to, trap people down here with them, right? But they ain't willing, to do what it take, to keep going, right, with life. So this is my opinion, man. You know what I'm talking about. So I just think, that, we use the afterlife, you know, uh, a lot of time, to keep people in the physical, you know, because is one and the same, you know, is one and the same. To me, the way I'm looking at it, if you only focus on the physical, you're living in the afterlife. you know these are the rules that you go by. you know you go by, the rules of the afterlife. You know what I'm talking about? If you these are the rules, in principle. You trying to, you embody these rules, and you carry this principle. you know and if you metaphysical, right? If you metaphysical, then you carry both principle, right? I mean, then you embody, right? You embody, life, those principles. You embody those principles, right? Uh, uh, that life itself carry. Then you embody the principle, the afterlife carry, right? So that's what makes you metaphysical, right? Because you carry the principle life carry, right? Then you carry the principle, right? That uh uh you know the afterlife carry. I mean, you embody those principles. I mean, you embody those, rules and regulation. So therefore, you carry those principles, you know, wherever you go, you know, and in and out, of these two worlds, right? Life and the afterlife, right? Because if you consciously, existing, right? If you're consciously existing, you can freely go back and forth, between life, and the afterlife, and bring messages, right? Like you can go to the dead, right? You can go, and you can get messages, from somebody, a family that passed away, and you can get messages, and and bring these messages to this family, right? Give me 1 minute. Yeah. So, you could do that. You're a messenger. You know, when you carry those two principles, you're a messenger. You know what I'm talking about? You're a messenger, but you're not just a messenger. You also a Lord, right? How it's like I'm gonna use it like that, like this. It's like a sheriff, right? It's like a sheriff for the town, right? A sheriff for the town, you know, have access to the town, right? And the state. So the sheriff, can go, anywhere, in the state, and arrest somebody from the town, right? And arrest somebody from the town, or brings, a message, to somebody in the town, right? To a family in the town, right? Because this is the sheriff, right? So if the family in the town, the sheriff, the job of the sheriff, is to, basically, oversee, the motherfucking is to basically oversee, the town, the village, right? So the sheriff, when the sheriff go wherever, in the state, if there is a message for that family, right, such and such, the sheriff can just go and bring the message. And also, if that family, right, have a problem with the state, the sheriff can just go and arrest that family, right? So when it comes to life and the afterlife, right, we're looking at the state, as life, life itself, and we're looking at the sheriff, right, as the and we're looking at the sheriff, right, as the I mean, we're looking at the state, right, as the as life itself, and we're looking at the town or the village as afterlife, right? Easy, right? It's easy. So going back again when I was saying, so you a messenger, right? So I'm a messenger. This is why messenger, they have the ability to cast out demons and do things like that, because demons, uh is is in the afterworld, or the so-called underworld, right? Because demons is alive too. That's why people don't understand. They just don't have a body, but they're alive too. They're not just existing. They're alive too. Just like angels, angels is not just existing. They're alive too, right? but they have a different body, right? So again, right? So again, so a messenger, is basically, angels, uh, in the flesh, right? Like Jesus, I like how Jesus was, a messenger, or they say he was God, but he was in the flesh. So I'm talking about, messenger, having a different body that's not fleshly, not having a fleshly body, right? I'm talking, but in the context I'm talking about, you become a messenger, once you have the ability, to freely travel between these two worlds, you know, now you're a fleshly, you're a fleshly, hold on, let's see if I can send this link out right quick. Oh man, now I don't know if y'all can hear me still. But yeah, so like I said, once you have the ability to travel between these two worlds, once you you become aware that you're metaphysical, you can travel to the meta world and the physical world, right? Because you're metaphysical, you're a messenger, right? So you can get message, from the meta world into the physical world, from the physical world into the meta world, right? So and also you can arrest people from both worlds. Meaning you can arrest, you can cast out a demon, but you can also uh 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 uh, uh imprison that demon, right? This is why the Bible talking about Satan is going to be in prison for a long period of time, whatever the case may be. So you can imprison, you can cast out demons, you can slay the demons, you can cast out the demon, but you can also imprison the demon. You know what I'm talking about? So this is you know this is what it is, man. You know, a lot of people is not looking at it, in that sense, because we everything being flipped, you know, everything being flipped, so the meta world, is really the ancestral world, the realms of the dead, where you go after you die. This is the afterlife, you know. This is the meta, you know. But the physical world, this is the present. A lot of this is the present. This is where you're supposed to be when you're in tune, when you're in alignment with the earth. Just because you here on earth don't mean that you're in alignment with the earth. You can be here on earth, but you're in alignment with the meta world, right? So you're just a zombie on Earth, right? Who said it? Kodak Black said it. I'm a zombie on Earth. Cause he here on Earth, but really, he aligned, with the meta world, right? So he's not really, worried, about, what's going on. He's not being ruled. He's not being ruled by the physical world. I mean, you know what I'm saying? But like I said, it's being flipped. What we think is physical, is really matter. Is really the matter world, and the physical world is what, is the earth. It's like the animals, you know, uh, is it's like is the elements, is all of these things, right? It's all of these things. So when people talk about earth is really hell, you know, or I'm looking at earth is really heaven. Hell is, is so called, kind of like how what the Christian is talking about, you're being hell, until, it's like when you go to prison. When you go to prison, you're being hell, right? You're being hell, or you in hell. right? When you go to prison, right? So it's the same thing. So when you die, you kind of like go to prison. People want to make it look like, oh no, oh the earth is a prison, or prison or prison. We're talking about time and space and this and that. No, this is where you go when you die. You better believe it. This is where you go when you die. This is why you was never supposed to, right? This is why you was never supposed to die, right? This is why you should never eat from the apple. Why you should never eat from the apple of uh, uh you know in the garden, right? Because if you eat from the apple, you will surely die, right? Meaning that you will go to prison, and be and be held back or be in hell, right? You will go to prison, and be held back or be in hell, right? Because you're gonna have to be judged, for why you do what you do, and it's gonna be a messenger that's gonna take you, right? It's gonna be a messenger that's gonna take you there. That's why a lot of time when people say, "Oh, when you die, oh, you see the light, you see the white light, or you see this, or don't follow the light, don't follow the white light." Well, if you truly die, you have to follow that. You have to follow the light. People will tell you go to the dark. No, people that tell you go to the people tell you go to the dark because when you go to the dark, because you could be scared, right? Now they could put you in their own, physical prison, right? That's what's gonna happen. You will be in a physical prison. So you will be like a ghost. You will be like a spirit, that they can contact, right, and do demonic shit, right? Like how they doing, in these, demonic, temples, right? You'll be one of these spirits. That's why they want you to go to the dark, right? But if you truly die, like I said, if you truly die, you have to go to the light. Because, like I said, if you don't go to the light, you go to the dark, you will go to, one of these demonic, groups, right? Demonic groups, right? They set up traps, they set up, metaphysical traps, all around, the earth grid, right? To capture soul and spirit, right? That truly die, right? Just like uh the angelic beings, right? These angelic beings, we have, light, right? We have, light, set up, all around the earth, right? To help you, right? Guide you, to where you're going, right? To your prison, right? To your jail, and you just gonna go there, and you just sit, you just relax, like everybody, like how when you go to jail, like these gangsters, when they go to jail, they don't be fighting the police. They don't be fighting the police, and you don't see how. And when I'm talking about these gangsters, I'm not talking about these low life gangsters, bro. These are so-called gangsters. I'm talking about these high ranking criminal gangsters, right? I'm not gonna, say no name, but y'all know who I'm talking about. Those who wear suits, right? Y'all be seeing them in movies, right? When they go to jail, how do they go to jail? They go to jail with their suit on, right? They open the car, they get in, right? There is no fighting, there is no yelling, right? There is no nothing. They just go, right? Like an adult. They just go to jail like an adult. I mean, I'm talking about I like they show you, right? In the movie, like I said. Like they show you in the movie where haven't you said Don't you say all the time life is nothing but a movie, or life is like a movie? Oh, well, I'm telling you, I'm using the movie to show you how it's gonna happen for you, right? If you truly die, right? If you truly die, meaning that if you eat from the from the tree of good and evil, right? If you eat from the apple, which is from the tree of good and evil, right? And you truly die, this is what's gonna happen to you, man. You know, you're just gonna go to jail like an adult, right? And you just go, and when you come out, you're gonna come out, like a baby crying again, right? Yeah, man, I fucked up, man. I ain't should have never did that, man. I'm gonna be a whole new nigga, man. I'm gonna change my life, man. I'm gonna do that, man. They're like, man, why this little baby cry so much, right? And they give you some food, you get straight to the point, like, right? You get straight to the point, with your food, right? And all that, and you getting ready, to become that new person, right? But along the way, you like, man, fuck that shit, man, right? Man, you like, fuck that shit, man. I'm having deja vu, right? You like, man, fuck that shit, man. I'm having deja vu, right? I'm seeing this, I'm seeing that, man. I've been there before, man. I did all this shit before, man. Man, fuck all that shit, man. And you start doing the same shit, not knowing that you're going right back to jail again. Stupid ass little nigga, right? Stupid person, right? Stupid ass person, right? This is what karma is, right? This is what karma is. Whatever you do, respect life, right? Whatever you do, man, respect life, right? Humble yourself, man. You know what I'm talking about? Humble yourself. Change, the tone of your voice, right? Change your environment, right? Move, to a different time zone, right? You're still gonna be, in the same time, right? Different state of mind, right? Do different things, right? Change, your routine, right? Uh, eat different foods, right? Man, make love more often, right? Cuddle, right? Get some hugs or hug people, right? Go out in nature, hug some trees, right? You love animals, right? Spend some time with these animals, observe them, right? Get in their aura, let them get in your aura, right? Things like that. Build a relationship with life, build a relationship with the components of life, build a relationship, with with nature, right? With being alive, right? And you will see your life is, your life will take a different turn, right? You will start meet you start to meet new people, right? That's that's on a different level, where you're trying to get to, right? You will start to, get new opportunity, right? But you have to, be a member of life. You can't be, trying to remember everything, right? You might as well just be a member of everything, right? Because it seems like you keep trying to remember everything. Man, 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 I forgot about this, man. Oh man, oh damn, I can't remember. Man, it was that. Look, yeah, man. It seems like you can't remember it for shit. You know what I'm talking about? So you might as well just become a member. You know what I'm saying? With everything, right? And so you can see, so and you be in harmony. You harmonize yourself with everything. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about? You ain't gotta worry about, an enemy. It's only you, right? You ain't gotta worry about an enemy if it's right. If it's only you, if you are a member, right? You ain't gotta worry about no enemy, right? We all a part of the same organization, right? We all are part of the same organized action. This is what an organization is. An organization is an organized action. Why you think, a lot of, organization, that do crime? Why you think they call it? They call it an organized crime, right? Organization commit organized crime. Organized action commit organized crime, right? We don't have to organize, to commit crime. We can organize, to commit, pride, right? Or prime, right? Because that's what, if one thing they hate the most, is prime, right? They always talk about how it was primitive when we was in our prime, right? Why our prime hurt them so much, they said that we was primitive, right? Our prime. Us being in our prime hurted them so much they said that we was primitive. Hear me? You know what I'm talking about? So yeah, man. So let's go back. This is a message. You know what I'm saying? I got a message for y'all. I know Martin Luther King said he had a dream. He must be a dreamer. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he was a dreamer, right? But I'm a messenger, right? I got a message for you, right? I've been had a message ever since I came here. I've been had a message for Black American. I've been trying to tell you, look, let's get back to being a member of life, right? For all of that other shit, right? Let's leave all that other shit alone. Let's go back to being a member of life. Let's go back to building. Let's go back to creating. Let's go back to trade. Let's go back to uh you know, uh, uh, let's go back to, multiply with each other. Let's go back to, expand with each other. Let's go back, to be a member, of the same organized action, right? Let's go back to being a member of the same organized action. And again, the action don't have to be, a criminal action, right? We can pass that. We can focus on our spiritual actions, right? We can focus on those spiritual action. Yeah, I gotta go check to see if I'm live. I mean, if y'all can hear me, because if not, I'm finna turn it up, off. Because yesterday I was live, man, for how long? And I go back and watch it, I realize that shit didn't mean nothing. I wasn't saying nothing. Give me 1 minute. I'm gonna go on my YouTube and check out and see if I'm live, if I can hear myself if I'm live. Cause like I said, ain't no point of talking if I'm live. But yeah, in the meanwhile, I'm gonna keep talking though. Shit. But yeah, man. This is my message, man. I don't have a dream. I see. None of that shit. Good shit happening. You know what I'm talking about? But I got a message. I want us to go back, right? I want us to go back, to being, a member, of life. Cause we all at the end of the day, we all can remember that, right? We all can remember to a time where we was a part of life where everything, was nice, right? Where everything was nice, everybody, was, on a straight path, you know. We remember that. Come on. We remember that. So this is what I'm talking about, man. This is my message to to us. You know what I'm saying? Let's get back to being a member. You know what I'm talking about? Uh, Y'all be tripping. So yeah, man. You know, I don't want. I don't want to. I don't want to talk about the afterlife. You know, I don't want to talk about the afterlife. I want to talk. I want to talk about life. Well, I bet I'm definitely rolling. I was just checking to make sure I'm rolling. Appreciate you, my brother Rafe, for coming through, bro. Salute. You know. So this is my thing. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to talk about the afterlife. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to talk about just the physical. We are metaphysical being. Period. We are a metaphysical being. Period, man. You know what I'm talking about? So, once we realize that, we are metaphysical being, we will no longer trap in the physical, right? We will no longer trap in the physical. We will, leave, freely, as the messenger being that we are, right? Because this is what it means to be metaphysical, right? You're a messenger, right? You're a messenger. You're not trapped, you're not bound, you're not anchored, to the matter world or the physical world, right? You're able to travel freely, and bring messages, to either, world. And just like I said, like I was talking about earlier, it's just like a sheriff. A sheriff is basically living into two different jurisdictions, right? A sheriff, have a jurisdiction to to a specific city or a town, then and also that jurisdiction, expand to the whole state or the whole country, right? So much love and respect. So I'm appreciate you for coming through, right? So a sheriff, is basically, a lord. Is basically a lord, right? It's basically a lord, because that sheriff will go get you anywhere, in the state, and arrest your ass, right? And also, that sheriff, can, will come to the town and bring a message to the family, right, pertaining the state, right, or the country, right? And that same sheriff can come and arrest, the family, if they, commit any crime against the state or the country. This is what you are when this is what it means to be metaphysical, right? It means that we can go. This is why we cast out demons. This is why we slay demons, we cast out demons, we can also imprison demons. you know this is all facts, right? This is all facts, but this is something that you have to be a member of life, right? You can't be, what talking about. Oh man, I don't remember, man. Oh man, I have deja vu, man. I started having deja vu. Sitting, we can't be talking about we can't remember all the time. How many times we might as well just be a member, right? We might as well just be a member because life is its own thing. Life is life in, right? So if you, like I said, if you only focus on the physical world, you basically living in the afterlife. You're all chasing afterlife. You're not really alive. you know you are chasing afterlife. You just trying to hold on. Like I said, how many times, you talk to certain people, you're like, yeah, man, I got a lot on my plate, I got this going on. Oh man, I'm just trying to hold on, man. Yeah, that's what people just trying to do. This is why Jesus talked to y'all the way he did, right? This is why he talked to y'all the way he did. You know what I'm saying? Because you're just trying to hold on. You're just trying to ride the wave. Y'all not trying to get in the ocean for real, right? Y'all not trying to get to the bottom of this shit for real, right? With this and swim with the sharks, right? So, like I was saying, Martin Luther King said he had a dream. I got a message, right? I've been had the message. This is what we are. This is what it means to be metaphysical. We are messenger. We're not here to we're not here to be trapped here, in the physical, in the physical world. We're not here to be trapped in the metaphysical world. We're not here to be trapped in the 3D. We're not here to be trapped in the 1D. We're not here to be trapped in no D. We all free to travel through all the dimension, through all the layers of reality, and establish law, I mean, and establish universal law and principle, right? And reinforce them, right? And bring message, right? And and help raise, the state of consciousness, right? Or should I say, and help maintain their balance, right? Of consciousness, right? The state of balance, or the balanced state of consciousness. This is what we here to do. We ain't here to play no games. You know what I'm talking about? And if we think we had to play game, this is why we keep getting getting ejected of the game. Because when we start playing the game, we think we can play however we want. Even games have rules and regulations. Even if we think life was a game, is a certain way we gotta play it, right? Is a certain way you gotta play it. Because at the end of the day, you will talk about like, hey man, yeah, I'm God, I'm the creator, I create, this, I'm just having the experience. Well, I would, I would assume you create this, this reality, this experience with rules and regulation, right? And I would assume that you have consequences in place, right? If you didn't follow your own rules, right? All right then. All right then. Keep going yourself, right? Keep being your own enemy, right? I mean, your own enemy, right? Keep being your own worst enemy, right? But I'm gonna always ask you, how can it be, how can you have an enemy if it's only you, right? If it was only you in the first place, if it's all started with you, right? If it was only you to create all this shit, where do you get the enemy from? If it's not the enemy, if it's only you, right? So like I keep saying, man, I don't want to talk about, the afterlife. I don't want to talk about, the all the uh uh existing things, things that's existing, no, I want to talk about life. I want to talk about the metaphysical world, right? I want to talk about earth is metaphysical, right? Earth is not just physical, earth is metaphysical. The physical world is the world of the dead, is the ancestral realm. The ancestral realm is the physical realm, right? Because that's dealing with afterlife. The ancestors stay trying to get back. The ancestors that crossed over, they stay trying to get back. They stay trying to get back. That's why they in your bloodline, right? That's why they in your bloodline physically, they in your bloodline physically and mentally, spiritually. They in your bloodline. This is why they come through you. Right? How many times you had a child, and or there was a child that was born in the family, and your grandparents, said, oh, they look like such and such. Oh, they behave such and such smile, right? And such and such way already, right? So their ancestors do come back, right? Their ancestors do come back. And I always, talk about, if you leave, best believe you're coming back. You better believe it, you're coming back if you leave, right? Y'all, we do it all the time. Every time you leave the store, you always go back. You always go back, right? Every time you go to the store, you always go back because you're not a member, right? If you're not a member, you don't have to. You don't have to keep. You don't have to go in and out, right? You already a part of it. You know what's going on, right? You're the one do. You're the one. You part of letting people know what's going on. Once you become a member, you are part of letting people know what's going on, right? So this is where I'm at. Like I said, I'm already, for the past, 2, 3 years, my conversation already, being, talking about metaphysical shit. I just never looked at it, in that way, and I just never really embodied, that approach, right? And right, but this is what it is, man. This is what it is. It's meta, it's all metaphysical, right? This what we call reality is all metaphysical, and I'm not talking about anything, that attached to it. I'm not, I'm just talking about just, this reality in itself. I'm not talking about the past or the future. I'm not talking about, no, I'm talking about this right there. What's associated with the flesh, what's associated with the earth and itself right here. This is all metaphysical, right? Because this is the we talk, even in science they talk about, dark matter. In they talk Listen, this everything about this reality is is a metaphysical. What happened, they divided into two sectors. They separate, the physical shit on one end, and they separate, the the metaphysics shit. I mean the mental shit on one end, right? And then they, on another way, they give you both of them together, which is the metaphysics. But all of that shit is all metaphysical. All of that shit is all metaphysical. So all the shit, that, they bring into it, right, is to bring them other shit that's a part of, that's make it look like it's not all metaphysical, right? Such like death, right? Things like, pain, right? Things like, the way, they talk about, emotions, your feelings, your emotions, uh 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 all these things that they bring into it, to make it look like, man, it couldn't be, you know it's physical, man. It's physical, but everything is flipped. Everything is flipped. So it's really, what we think is physical, is really not physical. It's really non-physical, which is mental. What we think is physical is really non-physical, which is mental. And what we think is, is non-physical. I mean, and what we think is physical is really, I mean, what we think is physical is really non-physical, and what we think is really non-physical is really physical. So this is because they say, what do they say? They say if you think about something for a long time, it will happen. What happened? People think about physical shit so much to the point where they become physical. I'm telling you. What you mean by that? To the point that where they die, nigga, and become physical. Like people think about physical shit, some oh man, age. Oh, I'm getting oh, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. Oh, my such and such died. Oh, such died again. Oh, this and that happened. Oh, such and such getting old too. Oh, look at him the other day. So we focus on so many things, right? That that have everything to do with physical and age, so therefore we become that. Therefore we become that, right? Just like the ancestors don't think about nothing but us, and eventually they become us. Eventually they be born, they get birth through us. Because, right, when you put your mind through something, it happened. You become that. So when you focus, on the physical shit, what happened. You end up in the afterlife. You end up being physical. You end up having a physical body in the afterlife. So a lot of people, the mindset, the rules and regulations they follow is all about the afterlife. It don't have nothing to do with here. We've been alive. This is what a lot of people say, man, I don't even want to be here. Oh man, I feel like I'm not even supposed to be here. You know? But yeah, they're talking about, they had deja vu like they've been here before. I don't know, man. I don't know. Like am I reaching? Am I reaching with this one? I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm reaching. You know, Earth is metaphysical, right? Some people say Earth is hollow, right? Some people say it's all mental, right? That's what it is. It's all mental, right? It's metaphysical, right? Vibrations and frequency, right? So is in on Earth right now is other being right now on Earth, right? Is other being right now on Earth, right? We can't see because they're not vibrating, you know, they're not vibrating, at the speed that we vibrating, right? The more something vibrate, the more it becomes invisible. It becomes like it's not there, right? I don't know if y'all know that, but the more something vibrate, the faster, right? Something vibrate, the more, the less, appearance it have. So the slower, right, something vibrate, the more it appear to be, right? So I'm telling you, like right now is other being right now on Earth, right now with us, right here, that we can't see because they're vibrating so fast. It's just like your thought, man. It's like your thoughts. Like, you can't be thinking, so much, about so many things. Like you can't even like, you can't even keep, track of your train of thought. Like you lose your train of thought, right? Because you're thinking so much, so fast. Your thought is coming so much. You lose your train of thought. It's the same way too. Your heart can beat so fast. You'll have a heart attack. And it's the same thing. If your brain, if you're thinking so much, if you're thinking about certain things so much, and you keep going into the thinking, and you're going with a certain, you know, speed, you can go crazy. You can go crazy. I'm telling you, you can go into a certain into you know you know information too fast, you know, and your brain, your mind is fucked, you know, it's fried. Your mind is fried, and you go crazy. Now you can't think. You feel me? You just keep talking mad shit. You can't think like straight. You can't nothing. Your mind fucked up. You went crazy. So yeah, man, Earth is metaphysical. You know what I'm talking about? Life is metaphysical. You know, that's what I wanted to say. It's not really Earth is life, because I'm talking about life and the afterlife. Life is metaphysical. You know, and the afterlife is only physical. you know so a lot of people that focus, that have a physical, a materialistic mind, state of mind, where they only focus. Listen, I'm not saying that you shouldn't focus on the material world. I'm not saying that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying people that's only focus on that, and they do, and they go out of the way to reject, right? And they go out of the way, to reject things that don't have nothing to do with the material world. I'm telling you, these people, they have, they living in the afterlife, right? Sooner or later, you know what I'm saying, we ain't going to hear about these people no more, right? Because they will become, they will think about it so much, right? They will think about, the materials, the materialistic things so much, where they will become material themselves. Like they will become material, the material themselves. So this is my thing. This is my opinion. Like I said, on life, in the afterlife, you know, prior to life, you know, you can't talk on prior to life, right? Because it's just existence, right? Ain't no debate about existence. You know what I'm talking about? When it comes to existence, there is no debate, right? It's a waste of time to debate about things that exist and things that doesn't exist, right? Because at this point, it become a conversation, based on our limited capacity, right? Based on our limited knowing, right? It based on our limitation. That conversation is, at that point, becomes centered based on our limitation, because we doesn't know everything. So if we doesn't know everything, therefore we don't know everything that exists, right? So we can't argue and debate about, existence or non-existence, right? I think that's arrogant for science or religion or anybody to try to debate or argue about about the state of existence itself. So to me, that's where life itself emerges from. Life emerges from existence. And the afterlife emerges from life. You know, that's it. You know, life emerges from existence. You know, and and the afterlife emerges from life. You know, and after the afterlife, it's right back to life, right? After the afterlife, you're gonna go right back to life. You either cease to exist, or you go right back to life. This is why, where, I think a lot of people talk about what the hell is, or the heaven is. I think a lot of people think the hell or the heaven is the state, where you're going back to being, just where you just exist, right? Because when people talk about a lot about God or the Creator, I don't think they know that the way they talk about it is just exist. It is something that just exists, right? It's something that just exists, but yet they're trying to make it look like, what the thing that just exists, is doing all these things, right? Which is a paradox, because you saying on one hand you're saying that it just exists, and on the other hand you're saying it's doing all these things. So that's a paradox. So it's something that exists that's doing everything. That's existence. That's basically existence. They explain it. But they put a title to it. They put a label into it. So they can paint it. The way they want to paint it. So, like I'm saying, existence, there is no debate about existence. You know, there is no argue or debate about that. Existence is just what it is. But now, where my opinion can come in play is that life, itself emerges from existence. This is my opinion. You know what I'm saying? My opinion is that life itself emerges from existence, and from life we get the afterlife. You know, and that's when you reflect on everything. Then you go right back to life again. You know, then you go right back to life. Cause my thing is that I'm the creator, right? I'm the creator. I'm uh let's say I'm the existence, right? Before I came into life, I was already existing. My spirit and my soul was already existing. So therefore, I was in existence, right? So my soul and my spirit, manifest themselves. Let's say they had a relationship. Like how my daddy had a relationship. Let's say my daddy was my spirit and my mama was my soul. You know what I'm saying? That because remember I'm telling you, like, before I could even use that to say I was alive, but I'm not using that to say I was alive. I'm using that to say I was already existing. I could say they were my soul and my spirit was already existing in my daddy and my mom's soul. But what I'm saying is that my soul and my spirit was already existed. So I'm saying, they, basically come together, and create it, just like we know when two things come together, in most cases, something else, birth from that. So I'm saying, my soul and my spirit come together, right? Created my body, you know. So the, the conversation, you know, is about my body. It's not about my spirit or my soul. You know, can't nobody debate me about my spirit or my soul. I wouldn't dare to debate anybody, about their spirit and the soul. And their soul neither. I think that's foolish. So, like I said, my thing is about the body. You know, so and the thing about the body is to get the body to, you know is to take the body, is that wherever the spirit and the soul is, the body should be there too, right? That's my thing. Wherever the soul and the spirit go, the body should go there too. So if I go, and the dream world, the body should go there too. I know people gonna say that, but Naga, when I go, when I dream, I have a body in the dream. Yeah, you do have a body in the dream, but you don't have the body in the bed in the dream, right? The body in the bed is not in the dream, right? That's what I'm talking about, right? I'm talking about that body, that's in the bed. I'm talking about, if my spirit and my soul is in the dream, like, I'm finna take my body in that dream too. I ain't finna leave my body behind so people finna, could play with my body. Like, nah, I ain't finna do that. You know what I'm talking about? It's like my wallet, right? It's like my, you know, I don't leave my wallet, outside for people to play with, when I'm doing what I'm doing. Now I take my wallet with me. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm securing that shit. I'm making sure I'm protecting my shit, right? So nobody get into my wallet, you know. So it's the same thing. It's my currency, right? My wallet is my currency. Is That's where, that's where I carry my currency, right? So it's the same thing. My body is where I'm currently is what I used to, to see, right? So that's my currently I'm I use my body to see, right? Currently I use my body to see, right? So my you know my body is like my wallet. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm talking about. So the goal, the mission, the goal, the experience, right? The experience is to see if I could take my body with me wherever I go. That's the experience. So I'm God, I'm the creator. I created the experience, right? The experience is that, all right, look. So I got this mission. I'm going this place. I'm gonna create, this simulation. All right, let's say I'm gonna create this video game, right? I'll call it, GTA, right? So I'm finna experience this thing. But and they I created this GTA, you know, but I got my wallet. I wanna take my wallet with me in GTA, in that GTA, you know, and if I can't take my body with me in GTA, so what I'm gonna do, is that I'm finna, I'm finna when you know uh come back, you know, and try and do it again until as many time I can until I finally take my wallet to GTA, because the game that I created, the only way I can fully experience the game is for me to have my wallet in there, right? Because that's why I created the game. I created the game for me to have the full experience in the game, right? I gotta have my wallet, right? So when I'm coming in the game, right, I want to make sure I have my wallet, right? So it doesn't matter how many times, right, I went to the game, right? If I didn't have my wallet, I'm not satisfied with my experience. So I'm coming back again, right? So it doesn't matter how many times, like I said, how much fun I had, how much experience I had, how much I enjoyed the experience I had, in GTA, right? I didn't experience it to the fullest, right? Because I didn't experience it to the fullest, right? So again, like I said, I'm going back, right, to enjoy it to the fullest. Because if I had enjoyed it to the fullest, I wouldn't be able to come back, right? I would still be in there, right? The fact that I have the ability, right, to come back and have another experience of that GTA, right, is proof that I didn't experience it to the fullest. Fullest is proof that I didn't go there with my wallet, right? It's simple. So that's thing. That's what I'm looking at it with the body. I like again. I use the wallet, but I'm talking about the body. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that we can have deja vu, right, is proof that we fail, in our previous reality, right? It's proof that we failed prior to to having this experience, right? Let's say right I flew to Canada, right? And as soon as I get at the airport, right? And I seen somebody that looked familiar, and I have a deja vu moment. I'm like, oh shit, I'm having a deja vu. So that in itself right here is proof that I that I had this experience before, but I failed. What experience? The experience that you know I'm about to have in Canada right now. That was already planned, because if I'm in Canada, that means I fly out to Canada for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Let's say I fly out to Canada, to meet Cage. Fuck, right? Since everybody know Cage is from Canada, let's say I flew out to Canada to meet up with Cage, right? And soon as I get at the airport and I seen somebody, right, that looked familiar, and and that triggered me to have a deja vu moment. So that in itself right there is proof that me flying out, to meet up with kids, that experience I did it before and failed. Because if I didn't do it already and fail, I wouldn't have that opportunity to go back and do it again. Because I would have already did it, right? I would have already did it. So I wouldn't have that opportunity. So I don't know if I'm explaining it, in a way that that's graspable to y'all. Whoever is listening, right? I know Rev was in the chat, someone was in the chat. I don't know if other people listening, but that's how I'm looking at it. You know, the fact that we have deja vu in this lifetime is proof that whatever our mission is in this lifetime, we tried it already, but we failed, right? So if we try something and we fail, is up to us to 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 find out why we fail, how we feel, right? And how, to actually move on, without, being failed again, right? Why we fail, how we fail, and and in a way, for us not to fail again, right? So that's my thing. So again, so to me, accepting, when it certain things, in this reality, it's just, settling for less, right? Is the reason why, we keep having all these deja vu, is the reason why, we get into, spirituality, we get into metaphysics, metaphysics, we get into, mental, journey, and then, all of a sudden, we don't want to do it no more. Without we say, man, fuck that shit, right? We say fuck that shit, right? Because we settling for less, right? And settling for less, will never give us the ability, to achieve more, right? Settling for less will never give you the ability to achieve more. So if eternity was a thing, right? Uh, I don't think, you know, five. I don't think more than 5% of human being would achieve it, in their lifetime, right? And every lifetime, I don't think more than 5% would achieve eternity, right? And that's just from a a a a religious perspective, you know. And if infinity, is the thing, from a scientific perspective, it will also be 5%, right? Because 95% is settling for less, right? 95% is settling for less, right? We're not willing to do what it takes, to, you know, to be a member, you know, of this thing. We just want to hold on, like I said, man. We just want to hold on. Have you ever seen like somebody, that want to come around you all the time? They just want to, they just want to be recognized, but they don't really want to be with the, like around you like that. No, they just want people to be like, oh yeah, oh yeah, such and such, he be with them niggas over there. But in reality, he don't really want to do what it takes to be there. He just want the credit, that come with being around you. Well, that's how human being, is that's the relationship human being have with life, right? This is the relationship that we have with life, you know. Like we don't really want to be alive, we don't really want to be here, you know, but we just hold it on, you know, and we don't think that, that's gonna break us. We don't think that's gonna break us. You know what I'm saying? You can't hold on to nothing for so long. This is what make the spirit. This is what age the spirit, right? Is us holding on to things. People think that age is what age. People think age is what ages you. No, age is not what ages you. You know what I'm talking about? Is holding on to things is what ages you, right? Because if age what was the thing that aged people, right? Everybody will age the same, right? Everybody will age the same. If you're 50 years old and I'm 50 years old, right? We should look the same when it comes to parents, right? When it comes to the way our body age, right? But that's not what it is, right? Us having the same age, doesn't dictate that our body gonna age the same, right? But I bet you people that hold, I bet you people that have the same envy, right? The same type of envy, the same type of hate, right? The same type of jealousy, right? They tend to age, you know, uh, uh, the body tends to age the same, right? Their body tend to age the same. because they're holding on to the same shit. You know. So if you've been holding on to some shit for 5 years and I've been holding on, matter of fact, this is proof, right? This is proof. All right, I'm not gonna say this is proof because all right, yeah, but I'm not gonna say this is proof, but I'm gonna say this right quick, right? So if you hold, grudges, against me, for 5 years, and I hold grudges against you for 5 years, that type of grudges will age just the same. That type of grudges will age us the same. This is why they're constantly trying to have us hit each other. They say every generation they're trying to create some type of control uh, uh, opposition, in every generation because they want every generation to age the same. Because if every generation don't age the same, that means that each generation it can bleed into the other, right? Each generation can bleed into the other if all generations don't age the same. So this is why in every generation they're trying to create some type of control opposition, where you know you could look around, 15 years old right now. You're gonna see a whole bunch of 15 years old is beefing, is probably beefing about the same shit across the states, right? And you could look at like everybody from the age 20 to let's say 15 to 25, right? They beefing about the same shit across the state, right? It's most likely the conversation is like the same across the state because it's control opposition. They create that in every generation. The 2000 the 90s had its own control opposition, right? 2000 had the same thing. It was light skin versus dark skin. You know, so every generation have their own cultural opposition, so something that made both parties age the same, so they both gonna, or that generation gonna hold on to that grudge, you know until they age to the point that where they die, right? Because that's what make the body age, right? Is the thing that you hold on to, right? So we both hold on to the same thing. So matter of fact, the movie Life show you that shit, right? If y'all seen the movie Life with Martin Lawrence and what's the other guy name? I forgot. That movie show you all that how these guys they hold on to the same thing. Hold on. All right, I'm back. Mic check, mic check. Uh, mic check. Can you hear me? Put a one in the chat. Uh, can I get a one right quick if y'all can hear me? I want to make sure I'm being heard because my phone is acting up right now. I don't want to, just I could just shut it down right here and leave it up and leave this one up. Because if it mess up again, I'm gonna take this one down. Can I get a one right quick? All right, I'm back. All right, I'm here for sure. I can hear myself. Mic check, mic check. No, I am valid. But yeah, going back to what I was talking about, you know. So yeah, man, you know, life in the afterlife, it's like life and death, right? It's like to me another word, for the afterlife is death, right? That's just me, right? That's just my opinion. Like another word for the afterlife is death. So to me, saying life in the afterlife is like saying life and death. It's like a twin, right? It's like a twin. It's like a Gemini, right? So you know when you is people, you know when God created, yeah, I'm gonna use that, that context, when God created, life, you know God also created, death. you know when God created life, God also created death, but is that death didn't come in later, you know, because when God created Adam and Eve, in the garden, and all that was going on, God also created a tree of good and evil, and told Adam, from the day he ate from that tree, he will surely die, right? So death was already created, right? So when God created life, he also created death. So it's that Adam didn't get to experience death later, but he was already experiencing life. You know what I'm saying? So this is why you have to understand, that this is like a you know it the when you're looking at things in reverse, you see, you see you know the act before it happened, right? This is why, when Christians talk about, uh 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 you know this is why when Christians talking about, the story, they told you that, oh yeah, God already knew, Adam was gonna, Adam and Eve, was gonna eat from that, certain that was going, man was gonna sin, this is why, God saying, his only begotten son, to die, all that thing. So what I'm trying to say is that, when you're looking at things in reverse, you know you see the act before it happened, you know, and we think, this is why we can predict things, because we're looking at it in reverse, and we think we're looking at it, ahead of what's gonna happen. No, you're not ahead of what's gonna happen. You behind what's gonna happen, right? Because if you was ahead of what's gonna happen, right? If you was ahead of what was gonna happen, you wouldn't see it coming, right? Because you ahead of it. If you're ahead of it, you can't see it coming. So you only see it coming because you was behind it. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, my bad. Keep getting distracted. But yeah, like I keep saying, when you're looking at things in reverse, you see it, before it happened. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, uh, you know, so God was, God, stood before his creation. When God stood before his creation, and the creation is in front of God, so God see everything that's gonna happen. Cause at the end of the day, God is the one that's creating, the creation. Right? God create the creation, and God is standing in front of the creation, and God is seeing everything that's gonna happen because the creation is in front of God. Like I said, when people think that when you see certain things, it's because you were ahead of it's because you were ahead of the thing. No, it's because you're behind the things. You see it before it happened. If you was ahead of the things, you wouldn't be able to see it because you were ahead of it. Right? If you were ahead, if I'm ahead of somebody, right, I can't see what they're doing because I'm ahead of them, right? But if they're ahead of me, right, that means I could see what they're doing because they're ahead of me, right? So again, going back, so God created the creation, and God is standing in front of the creation. So the creation is in front of God, and God is behind the creation. So God see everything that's gonna happen in the creation, you know, and God, and God is saying, all right, this is the tree of good and evil, you alive right now, that cause that's why God created, that was the first part of the experience. The first part of the experience, was life, where everything was alive, everything was good. Because remember, the first part of the Bible keep talking about, oh yeah, God created this, it was good, everything was good. Even when we go down in history, the further we look back in history, we started to feel like, man, everything, things was way better. Everything was way better. Things is getting worse and worse. So what I'm saying again is that the good part was before, was before. So life is before death. So when God said, "Behold, I put life and death before you, choose first." You know, and later on we can go and talk about who life was really, who life really was, right? But like I was saying, right? So God seeing everything that's gonna happen, God saying that, man, if you eat from the tree of good and evil, you will surely die, right? So this is life and death. This is the twin. This is the creation that God created. This is what basically make this simulation self-sustain for God to be able to leave, right? For God to be able to experience the creation have to be able to be self-sustained, right? If the creation is rely on God won't be able to experience the creation. How can that happen? How can if let me put it that way. If the car is relying for me to drive it, how can I be the passenger? Right? I won't be able. So for me to be the passenger, the car have to be able to drive itself, right? So I'm breaking it down in a simulation format, So this is why, it had to be a twin. This is why creation had to be, had to have that dual perspective, This is why creation had to be symmetrical, right? This is why it had to be symmetrical. So like I said, so God is seeing it. So God was like, all right, so Boom. This is what gonna happen. This is what I'm gonna do. Boom. I do everything. I did all that is good. Now, if this happened, if you do this and that, which was already written, right? Because God is Adam, right? From perspective, like if you do this and you do that, right? God talking to itself, right? The mind talking to to the flesh, then you will surely die. So, and that happened, right? And this is where when Adam got kicked out of the garden. When he got kicked out of the garden, this is what created the afterlife, right? So while Adam, right, is outside of the garden, he's getting old now, right? He's holding on to shit, right? He's holding on to certain things, to why he shouldn't do this, to why he should, whatever. He's holding on grudges against God. You know what I'm saying? So all of that shit is going on. You know what I'm talking about? So this all of that creating the afterlife, right? Cause all of that happened after the garden. Cause in the garden it was life, it was heaven, everything was great. You know what I'm talking about? So after all of that, right? And then when Adam ate from the tree of heaven and of good and evil, he got kicked out of the garden. Once he got kicked out of the garden, now he about to die, right? Now the afterlife started. Now he's starting to get old. He having children, things like that, whatever going on. So now, and finally, he died because he thought about it so much. Like I keep saying, whatever you think about, when he was in the Garden of Eden before he ate that shit. So all he was thinking about was God, man. He was thinking about, what God would say, how God want things to be, his relationship and with God. So he never died, right? He never died. Nobody, but now when he got kicked out, so now he start to age, and he holding on to this age and he think about it more and more, so now he become that physical, and this is why, it played out in his children, right? This is why it played out with Cain and Abel, right? How one of them carried the good side and the other one carried the bad side. One of them carried life, the other one carried death, right? Because that's what that was already took place, and I didn't even went in on how that was already took place in heaven before it came in the garden. Then it took place in the garden, right? And then now it took place outside of the garden, right? So it's like a chain of reaction, right? So that's basically what I'm explaining. The way I'm explaining, from existence, it bleed out into life, right? Then it bleed out into the afterlife, which is death, or what we call reality, right? Because reality have the word re, so it's something that's already happened. So when we're talking about life really have nothing to do with reality. Life is what actually happened. Life is life, and so it's actually happened, right? So it's nothing, it's nothing, uh, uh, uh real, you know, about reality. I mean about life is that is the all, right? Is the all, right? Reality. I mean life is the all. It even cover for the after. When we talk about life, right? It even about the after, the hereafter. That's what life is. Life is the here and after, right? Because even even being dead, right? You're still alive, right? Even being dead, you're still alive, right? But you're not alive, on a mental state. You only alive on a physical state, right? So you're not 100% alive. You're not complete, right? You're not. So you operate, like a demi-urge, in a demi-urge, right? A way of things. So your mind is you know So you have sighted basically, you know, you have sighted. But yeah, like I said, man, I got a message. You know, let's get back to be a member again. You know what I'm talking about? You know, where we can be, where we can enjoy all things, where we can experience and enjoy all things, right? Because right now, if we want to be honest, we enjoy, we know we ain't living and enjoy all things, right? We know we get in the end of the steak, right? We're not even experience the the fragment of reality, right? We ain't even get to experience the full fragment, you know a prospect of aspect of reality. So imagine the whole, so listen, you know what I'm talking about. So that's what they give us. They give us a fragment, and we didn't even get to experience the whole fragment. So fragmentation, pigmentation, right? So let's get back, man, right? Let's get back to, what I'm saying, to be a member so we can get to enjoy and experience all of that, right? Because that's what you came back to do, right? Because you did all that shit already. All that shit you're doing right now, you did it all already. You know it. You've been saying that you did it all already, right? You've been having all these deja vus, You've been having all these dreams, all these feelings and emotions. So you know you've been there before. The only reason why you're here, the only reason why you're back is because you want to experience this to the fullest, right? You want to experience it to the fullest. And it take you infinity to do that, right? It take you infinity to do that. So you shouldn't be having deja vu, right? You shouldn't be, you know, uh, 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 remembering shit, right? You shouldn't have to remember nothing, you know, whether it was from the future or from the past, because you are, goddamn it, you are a member of the present, right? God damn it, you are a member of the present, so you shouldn't have to remember shit from the past or the future. You know what I'm talking about? Right? They ain't your master. You know? They ain't your master. Right? So, yeah, man. And like I said, I know a lot of people are going to be like, yeah, Naga, the president, is not my master too, no? Naga, the president is not my master too. I don't have, listen, your body belong, you know, the body was created, in a specific realm, right? Let's say the past, the future, and the present, each one of them is a realm, right? Each one of them is a layer of reality where your body didn't create in the past. Your body didn't create in the future. Your body was created, right, in the present, right? So if your body was created in the present, you know, this is where your body belongs to. Now, if you want to go to the future, you can take your body with you. If you want to go to the past, you can go take the body with you. Which is where I'm trying to get to, right? But my body belongs to neither, right? My body belongs to neither the future or the past. This body belongs here, right here. It's an earthly body. You know what I'm talking about? Damn, I've been going on for 2 hours and 35 minutes. Damn, I was thinking like, man, I'm finna come up here, and talk my shit for like 30 minutes, probably 45 minutes. Damn, before I know it, it's already 2 hours and 35 minutes. God damn. But yeah, man, this is my, this is my thing, on life, in the afterlife, you know, this is a twin. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it might as well say life and death. To say life in the afterlife, you might as well say life and death. It's a twin. You know, people talking about the chicken and the egg. You know what I'm saying? It's a twin. People want to know which one come first, the chicken or the egg. Well, it's a twin. You know what I'm saying? I know people are gonna say, "Oh, well, not God." Well, you do know that twin. It's one of them still have to be born first, right? Yeah, I know that. I just break it down, right? I just break it down. I just show you how you know, uh, being alive, was before, was before being dead. I use the Bible. What else? I use, you know, yeah. You being to be, and even right now I ain't even gotta do that, right? Tell me somebody that told you that that was dead before they came into life. Tell me somebody. Show me somebody that comes to life and tell you that, hey man, look, uh man, yeah man, such and such killed me, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah man. The only reason why I was able, to be born, is cause such and such killed me, man. I used to be a pilot. Man, I used to be, nah, you ain't never no stupid shit like that. Right? So everybody, leave, and you die. And there is no saying you die and you leave. No, the saying is there is no saying you die and you leave. The saying is you leave and you die. Right? You leave and you die. The saying is not you die and you leave. So again, people always want to know which one comes first, the chicken or the egg. Well, it's not which one comes first, the egg or the chicken. Is which one comes first, the chicken and the egg. Well, you said it, motherfucker. The chicken comes first, right? Or which one come first, or life or death? Well, you just said it, motherfucker. Life come first. You said life or death. You said life first. Life, that means life come first. So, oh, where you get that shit from? Oh, that shit is pseudo. All right, nigga, your whole life is pseudo, right? That money that you've been chasing your whole life is fake, is pseudo, but you still chasing that shit. That bills you paying is pseudo, right? Your ass will, your ass will reboot is pseudo. You know what I'm talking about? Right? Rebooting your ass is pseudo. You know what I'm talking about? Getting back to the end of the line is pseudo. Right? So this is where I'm at with it, man. You know what I'm saying? Life and the afterlife is basically saying life and death. You know? It's basically saying life and death. And I'm saying a lot of people, matter of fact, fuck that shit. I'm promoting that shit, right? I'm promoting that shit. Listen, you don't have to die. Death is not is not a necessity, right? Death is a choice. You see how people get out of character because Kanye said slavery was a choice. Listen, how about that? Death is a choice. It's not a necessity. It's not an obligation. You know, you don't have to die, right? It's a motherfucking, it's a choice. People choose to die, right? People, all right. If death is not a choice, why why every time somebody but to die, right? In a tragic way, they always tell them to keep fighting. They always tell them, man, hey, hold on, man, keep fighting, man, don't let go, stay with me, man, keep fighting, kill me, man, keep fighting, because it's a motherfucking choice. right? It's a motherfucking choice. It's a choice that you make. It's a mental choice because I keep telling you, the earth is metaphysical, right? It's a choice that you make to stay alive. And it doesn't matter how, the situation come out to be, you're gonna be alive. It might not be the way you imagine it to be. It might not be the way, your loved one wanted to be. Your haters wanted to be, but it's because you had the desire, because you had the will to leave, right? You're alive. You're gonna be alive. It doesn't matter what happened, right? Well, they say if you put your mind to anything, it will happen, it will manifest. Well, if you put your life, why can't we apply the same rules when it comes to being alive? Why can't we apply the same rules to being alive? Why can't I say, if I put my mind to the fact that, I will never die, then I will never die? Why you gotta be, or if I put your mind to get, if you put your mind to get a job, you won't get a job. Or if you put your mind to get a degree, you're gonna get a degree. Or if you put your mind, to get this girl, you're gonna get this girl. If you put your mind, to get this gun, you're gonna get this gun. Why can't it never, if you put your mind, to be, to live, and to never die, and you will never die? Why can't it be like that? See, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. I don't give a fuck. People could go ahead and call me pseudo, right? Yeah, I'm the first one that said that. I'm the first one that said it. Now what? Right? Call me pseudo for that. But at the end of the day, right? I know all of y'all, right, is a slave of death, right? All of y'all niggas is a slave to death, right? Is a slave. Soon as death raise a hand, y'all niggas tuck your tail, right? Soon as death raise a his her hand, whatever, y'all niggas tuck your tails, but y'all wanna talk about y'all God, y'all created this, y'all did this, y'all did that. How the hell you gonna expand? How the hell you gonna overcome your fears and expand, your ability and expand your capacity, if if you can't, if you can't supersede death, right? If death is your barrier, how can you expand, your consciousness, right? How can you expand your consciousness? It's impossible. So like I said, right? This is the reason why, consciousness, don't, this is why we don't see, that we don't see the expansion of consciousness, is because, death is the barrier, right? Death is the barrier. So this is the reason why we don't see it. We don't see, again, consciousness. We don't see the expansion of consciousness, right? This is the reason why you can't walk on earth right now and you met somebody that's 1 billion years old, right? You can't meet somebody that's 1 billion years old right now, because death is the barrier, right? And nobody is willing to supersede death, right? Nobody is willing to supersede death, but people want to supersede God, right? Well, God created death, nigga. How you going to supersede God, right? How you going to supersede God, right? And, it, and you can't even supersede, death when God created death. You don't see how you're making a fool of yourself? You don't see how you're making yourself look bad? Come on, man. You know, oh, everybody gonna die one day. No, nigga. No, nigga. Everybody ain't gonna die one day, nigga. You said this because you know you're gonna die one day. You know what I'm talking about? You said this because you know you're gonna die one day. You know what I'm saying? Cause that's what you put your mind to. You put your mind to the fact that one day you're gonna die. Why you want me to put my mind to the fact that one day I'm gonna die? I don't want to put my mind to that. I wanna put my mind to the fact that I will never die, right? Because if we're gonna say it, all right, if we're gonna say, man, everything is everything, right? Whatever you put your mind to, right? Whatever you ask for, you will get it, right? Then why do we ask for death? If we know whatever you ask for, you will get it, why don't we ask for life, right? Why don't we do what God told us to do? Why don't we choose life? Y'all see what I'm talking about? Y'all see what I'm talking about? So I'm a messenger, right? I'm a messenger with authority, to with authority to kill, with authority to slay, kill, or imprison a demon, right? Or imprison a demon, for a long period of time, right? For a long period of time, right? That's what I am, right? I'm a Lord, right? I'm not gonna say I'm God, I'm not even gonna say, matter of fact, I'm even gonna create a whole nother, you know, new term. Keep that on the lookout. There ain't gonna be no Lord. Ain't gonna be no God. Ain't gonna be no king, no queen, right? It's gonna be a unique word, right? And that's gonna be me. When you're here, that from anybody, y'all gonna know they're talking about me. That's what I am, bro. Cause I have the authority to slay, kill, or imprison a demon, right? I have also have the ability, to heal, you know, uh, 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 you know, uh, you know, to heal, also, right? And and I have, also, I'm a messenger, right? That's what I am. But even that I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get my own word for that. Just what I'm finna do, man. In this YouTube street, listen, these guys forget that, you know, this is the this is the underworld, right? This is the underworld. So it's a lot of demons on here, you know. But because this is, but there is also a lot of angels, you know. It's also a lot of angels, uh, uh, here too, you know, because this is the meta world, right? Not the nether world, the meta world, right? This is the meta world where we meet at. This is the meta world, right? That's what. That's what. Oh wow! I just got it. The meta world is the meta world or the meta world, right? Let me make sure I write this shit down before I forgot. God damn. The meta world is the meta world. Oh wow! It's the meta world too. The metal, like metal. Wow. Oh, AI just helped me right quick. AI it go with the metal too, right? So it's the mental world. It is. I was right. So the metal world is the mental world. The metal, right? So this is what YouTube is about. YouTube is the meetup world. It's the meetup world. This is where we all meet up at. This is where the angels and the demons meet up at. You know what I'm talking about? You know, this is where they talk. This is where they, this is where they meet up at to congregate, right? To congregate, over the people, to congregate, about the peephole, right? The people is the peephole, right? So you got the angels, and the demons, sitting together, right? Up here, gossiping about, what we see, right? They're like, man, I just see, man, you won't believe what I see. Man, what you see? Girl, I seen this, I seen that, I seen that, you know, gossiping, right? We came up here and sit together. We came up here and sit together. We having a sit down together, right? We come up here and sit down and have a sit down like people go to the club and sit together and gossip about each other, right? So, uh-huh. I got something for y'all niggas, for y'all gossiping ass niggas, right? For y'all gossiping ass hoes, gossip, right? I got something for y'all. I'm gonna slay y'all ass, right? All of y'all getting slayed. You either getting slayed, right? You either getting slayed, right? In prison, kill or in prison, right? And when I talking about kill, when I say slayed, I'm talking about cast out, right? If I slayed you, nigga, I cast you out. You feel me? And if I kill you, nigga, you dead to me, you know. And if I imprison you, you know, like you just suspended, you know, like my nigga choose on, he's suspended right now, you know, he's being imprisoned. God knows for who long. I mean, for how long, right? But he's right now he's locked up right now. You feel me? Cause he got out of line. That's what I'm finna do with y'all niggas. That's what I'm finna do. You feel me? I'm finna slay y'all, right? If y'all wanna act like a demon, right? Then I'm finna slay y'all, right? Because whether you're a real demon or you wanna act like a demon, you still gonna pay the consequences. Cause at the end of the day, if I wanna go outside, I wanna act like a drug dealer, they still gonna make me pay for the consequences. They don't care if I'm not a real drug dealer, right? If I want to act like a criminal, they still gonna make me pay the consequence. They don't care if I'm just acting like a criminal, right? All right. So it's the same way. So you act like one, you get treated like one, right? You want to act like a demon, you get treated like a demon, right? Don't get slayed by accident or get killed or imprisoned by accident, right? Oh man, I need to talk to so I'm. But yeah, man, y'all be wildin'. You feel me? Y'all want to talk, y'all want to, talk about, grown ass men, grown ass women. Y'all want to talk about, you know, gossiping ass shit. You know, I don't know, grown ass men want to gossip with another grown ass man. You know, I got a message to deliver. You feel me? I got a message to deliver, man. I got another world to get to. You know what I'm talking about? I got a whole you trapped. Meanwhile, you trapped down here. Meanwhile, you trapped here. I got a whole nother world I gotta get to. Cause I got messages I gotta deliver to. You ain't got me yet, you know what I'm saying? So I ain't really ain't got time for your ass. I'm just finna slay your ass right quick, you know what I'm saying? And prison your ass right quick. You know what I'm saying? Depending on how I'm feeling, you know, and go take care of my business. It's 2020. It's 2025. 2025, man. It's finna be 2026. You know, in a couple of months, y'all niggas think I'm finna play with y'all niggas like I used to play with y'all niggas in 2025. I mean in 2015. Ain't no way 10 years later I'm still playing with y'all niggas like that, man. You know what I'm saying? Straight fact, y'all niggas straight getting slayed. Y'all straight getting killed. Or y'all straight getting in prison. Facts. Assuming my position. You feel me? Real talk. Assuming my position, man. You know, just hop on my throne. On my throne. I remember I told y'all niggas that. I told y'all niggas I was a wild prince. With my feet kicked up. You know what I'm saying? Watching y'all niggas, getting out of line. You know, watching all of y'all niggas getting out of line. Y'all think, y'all niggas think that I'm finna watch y'all niggas rise up, and take my parents' kingdom? No. Y'all think I no, I've been watching all of y'all niggas. I know all of y'all that's demons, right? And I know all of y'all that's acting like demons. Either way, y'all gonna get treated the same. Y'all gonna get the same treatment, right? Why y'all think I don't fuck with y'all? Y'all think I don't fuck with y'all because by coincidence? Y'all think, oh, it's just a coincidence he don't fuck with us. Nah, man, I don't fuck with y'all on purpose, right? I don't fuck with y'all on purpose. I was basically, you know, I for real, I was trying to see if y'all was gonna change, because like I said, I know a lot of y'all is just acting like y'all demons. Y'all ain't really demons for real. You know what I'm saying? And I start to go casting y'all motherfuckers y'all wanna scream. You know what I'm saying? Like vampires, see fire and shit, right? So or the light, right? Or the light and shit, right? So again, right? Back to the life and the afterlife, right? This is life itself, you know. This is not the afterlife, you know. This is not the afterlife, and we cannot allow, you know, starting from here, right? Hold on. Starting from here, right? Starting from here on Earth, right? We're gonna start to put, we're gonna start to implement it, certain, we're gonna start to implement it, the universal rules back, and this planet and this plane of existence before we can even start going into these other realms, because these demons and is other, they of the chain, you know, they of the chain in these other realms, so they over here influencing everybody, they're influencing a lot of people here in this realm, to do certain things, so to basically keep that that folklore going. So we finna get these people in check. Once we get these people in check, believe it or not, man, we getting straight to y'all demons, right? Right? We getting straight to y'all demons, man. A lot of y'all finna get slayed. Some of y'all will get killed, and some of y'all will get in prison. It's very unfortunate, right? Cause y'all been having a ball, right? Y'all been having a ball, right? If life is for the people, you know what I'm saying? Life is for the people, man. That shit I better be respected. You feel me? Honored. That shit I better be respected and honored. You know what I'm saying? It's for the people, man. You know, you peeping through a hole right now. You know, like I said, the body, it, it is what you use for to currently see. You know, like your wallet, right? Like your wallet carry your money, right? Like your body carry your currency, right? Well, it's the same thing too. Your body carry this energy, you know, that you use for it to be able to currently see. So I know you'll see how I'm saying it, and I'm purposely saying it like because at the end of the day, like I keep saying, man, listen, I got my own canvas, you know, my own paint, right? And I'm being the brush, right? And I'm being the brush. I'm painting my own pictures. I'm just painting myself on the canvas. And if I'm being the brush, what you think the brush is doing on the canvas? The brush is just painting itself. It doesn't matter what you tell me you see on the canvas. It's the brush. It's the brush. The brush did that. It's the imagination of the brush. You feel me? Everything on the canvas is the imagination of the brush. This is why they say that we were made in the is the brush. I'm painting my own pictures, like I said. I'm creating. I'm doing my own thing, and it ain't no stopping me, man. You know, I'm done with being distracted. You know, I'm not looking for what it is, man. You know, I'm not looking at it for what I want it to be. You know what I'm talking about? If you don't realize by now, if you don't realize that you you on your own by now, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know how long you've been around, but I've been around, for a decade now. Yeah, I could say that. Uh huh. Yeah, I could say that. I could say I've been around for a decade, right? 2014 going into 2015. You feel me? And 2015 was just the YouTube. 2014 it started on the Hangout. You feel me? On Discord. So I've been around for a long period of time. Like I said, I could say I've been around for a decade. A little more than that. And I've seen it. When all hell break loose. You feel me? When the boat sink, you know, you're relying on, being able to swim on your own, right? Ain't nobody, if you didn't bring a life jacket for yourself, ain't nobody bring you a spare one. You feel me? If you didn't know that, you know that now. What you gonna do, right? What you gonna do? The boat already sunk. You feel me? And everybody is, trying to swim to the shore, right? Everybody trying to swim to the shore. Everybody trying to see for sure. right? Everybody trying to see it for sure with their own eyes. Everybody trying to swim to the shore. What you gonna do, right? Are you gonna stay with your with your eyes closed and drown to the bottom of the ocean, or are you gonna swim to the shore, right? Right? Swim to the shore is safe for sure. Because a lot of people, they want to talk about, man, I don't believe, you know, man, I don't know, right? Well, you better now. It's time for you to take a stand. You understand now, right? To understand is to be understand. Y'all don't, Manza told y'all that. I don't think y'all, I don't think y'all, y'all grasp it. You know, Eminem told y'all that. Stand is stand. Is the stand. You know, and to be understand is to be understand. You know, it's not to stand under. You're looking at it wrong. You're looking at it with an evil mind. You gotta looking at it from a life perspective, with your life mind. I'm telling you, you're looking at it with your evil eye. You need to look at it with your life eyes, right? With your life eyes. Don't look at it from the past. You know, don't look at it on the replay. Don't look at it with your evil eyes. So, like I said, man, the boat's already sunk, right? What do I mean by that? Right? We don't have a system. The boat, the ship represent your system. Because why is represent a system? Because you can use the ship to navigate. If you can use the ship to navigate, that's a system. We don't navigate in the system. It's not the government that's the system. We like to think that the government is the problem. We like to think that the world is the problem. We like to think the message, everything is the problem. But we're not looking at ourselves. We are the problem because we are the vehicle. If my car, is not, my car is my system. Is what I used to take me around. If my car is fucked up, I can't start looking at the everything else and not looking at my car. What are you doing? Right? What are you doing? So I'm telling you, man, you on your own, right? You on your own. You gotta open your eyes so you can see, so you know for sure, so you know where you stand. You know, you're not really standing under. You on top, right? You think you at the bottom of the pyramid. You on top of the pyramid. It's just you. You alone. You on your own on top of the pyramid, right? You can't scream and you can't hear your voice echoed out. You ain't got no enemy. You ain't got no help. You ain't got no savior, right? Just save everything that is yours, right? Just save everything that is yours. Preserve it, right? So I'm telling you, the boat already sunk. You feel me? And everybody is swimming for themselves. You're looking at everybody. Oh, he know how to swim, and he got a life jacket. Like he should throw the life jacket because you don't know how to swim. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. You know, you gotta swim. You feel me? Cause when everybody was in the boat, it was all cool. It was all laughing. It was all funny games. But now that the boat sunk, everybody got to fend for themselves. We all agree to that. We all agree to that. Like right now, we all right now can't hop on a car right now. We all can hop on a plane right now. We all can hop on a boat right now, right? And we're gonna have a ball. We're gonna have a fun. We're gonna have a utopia, right, in that boat or in that vehicle. But we know if something happened, we all gotta fend for ourselves. This is the, this is what survival of the fittest is, right? So don't act like you don't know it, man. This is the awakening. So like I said, man, I'm doing my own thing. You feel me? I hear it, a lot of time. You know, people talk about, you know, they don't want to be a part of no group, no organization, you know, and I'm being left, I'm being left alone. You feel me? Nobody ain't really gotta tell me, they don't want me a part of the group, or they don't wanna be, you know, us to form a group. I could just see that, I'm being left alone, you know, on my own, you know, to swim, right? To get out of the ocean, right? And I knew the expectation of coming out of the ocean, right? It's the same expectation that's being put on on us when we make it at the hood, right? It's the same expectation that that's being put on us when we made it out of the family, right? I mean, when we made it out of the you know poverty, it's the same expectation that's being put on us when we're the first one in the family, that went to college. It's the first expectation that being put on us when we're the first one in the family, you know that's working in the government. It hit different. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same expectation, man. That's being put on, getting out of the ocean, on making it out of the ocean. You know, now that I made it out of the ocean, you know, now I gotta find me, some type of canoes, some type of, life jacket, to save as many lives as I can, right? Because all of that, you know, I'm on my own. All of that I'm on my own, you know, is while I'm in the ocean. Is while the boat sunk, right? Soon as I made it out, everybody looking at me like they expect me to take, to bring them with me. They expect me to, to get them out of the ocean. But the whole time I was in there, nobody was looking at it like, man, if we get him out of the ocean, you know, that would be our way out, right? I mean, I'm not telling nobody, to stand with me or stand behind me or next to me or anything. I'm fine standing on my own. You know, my whole life I've been on my own, right? But I'm not alone. You feel me? I'm not alone. Yeah, man. Life is life, you know, and we don't think, we should become a member. We don't think it's important to be a member. We don't think it's important, to be in alignment, with life. We just trying to hold on. We just trying to ride the waves, like we do with everything, right? It started like that. It started the same way, right? With H.O.T.C. I mean, I could speak on that because I the is recorded, right? Everything is recorded. But yeah, everybody in H.O.T.C. Was looking for somebody to come out, you know, and break out, and take everybody with us. But nobody was willing, you know, to stand behind one person, to do it, right? And if one person, was willing to do it on their own, you know, and everybody was willing to hit on that one person, right? And it's the same way. It's always like that when a family is struggling, you know, everybody in the family, you know, everybody in the family looking for somebody in the family, you know, to finally make it out, and take the whole family, out of the situation. But nobody is willing to sacrifice themselves and stand behind somebody, and put their all into that one person, you know, and and made it become their way out, right? So we move like that, in everything we do. It's a fight for survival, you know. It's surviving of the fittest, you know. Everybody, gotta fight for themselves. But like I said, you know, there is an expectation, that come with making it out, you know. Like everybody always say, everybody know, they say great responsibility, I mean, great, power come with great responsibility. So don't let that get into your head, you know, and turn bitter. Just because nobody help you, just because nobody stand behind you, you know, for you to make it out, don't mean that when you make it out, you know, you're on your own, right? Because it can quickly, it can't, you know, it can quickly show you that you're not on your own, and you end up being where everybody is at, instead of everybody end up where you at, right? Because one way or the other, you know, we gotta be in the same place, right? So if I'm not taking y'all where I'm at, y'all gonna end up taking me where y'all at, right? That's how it goes. They say when life, gave you a lemon, you make lemonade. And sometimes you realize you ain't even got no lemons, right? And that's when you realize you gotta plant your own lemon tree, right? Before you can even make lemonade. Yeah, you know what you heard, but I know what I said. You know, and I'm just talking. You know, sometimes as a man, you know, you need, you know, humans aid, and sometimes you realize, you know, you ain't even got no humans aids, and you gotta plant your own seed before you can even get the aids, right? It's hard to find help. You know, not everybody is willing to help these days. You know, a lot of people, you know, they're looking for the help themselves. It's like, you want me to help you? Man, I want some help myself, you know? So, and we both just looking at each other, you know, and we're laughing. It's like, it's silly, you know? It's kind of silly, you know, to ask me for help, you know, when I know that I need, you know, I need your help. So, you know, and sometimes, you know, you know, it's better to just laugh it out, you know, than to, you know, to go, you know, and do like everybody, you know, rah, 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 you know, screaming, you know, crying like kids, you know, lashing out, you know, fighting out, you know, fight it out, you know, you know, that's good for your spirit, you know. It keep the spirit young, you know, like I was, you know, like I was saying earlier, you know, it's not the age, you know, that, you know, that make, you know, the body, you know, old, but it's the spirit, you know, that carry the weight, you know, of the body, you know, because the body is young, you know, the body is, you know, is like a baby, you know. You have you ever seen, you know, a parent, you know, that, you know, that struggle because the kids is struggling, and how old they get, how, you know, you know, uh, uh, you know, how painful, how sad that is, you know, to look at them. Well, that's what happened, you know, that's what happened, you know, to the spirit. That's why the body get old, you know, because, you know, the spirit carry all that guilt, you know, all the weight, you know, that the body is supposed to carry, right? And it can't carry it yet, right? You know, it's kind of crazy, you know, it's kind of a crazy thing to say, but, you know, broken family is a thing, you know. Broken family is it's kind of a thing, you know. Think about it, you know. You got families, you know, come, you got children, family, you know, competing, you know, about, you know, who raised in the worst condition. You know what I'm talking about? Like have you ever seen two kids, you know, sitting arguing about, you know? man, your daddy is rich. Man, I eat soup. I eat soup for breakfast. Man, I eat soup for lunch. I eat soup for dinner. Man, I drink Kool-Aid. You know, and the other one like, man, I do the same thing too. What you talking about? Man, your parents rich. Man, at least you get Kool-Aid. Man, I eat noodles. Then I gotta drink water after that. And you looking at both of them, you like, yo, damn, like y'all y'all competing against that? You're arguing and competing against that. You know what I'm talking about? And one of them was like, man, hold on. Man, I'm finna do I got proof right now. And bling, hey Moolah, yesterday, then you're the one that gave me a soup yesterday. I ain't even had nothing to eat. My mama went outside was outside all day. And you're looking at them, you're like, God damn, bro. You know. So this is the type of things we got going on in the black family.